Good afternoon. We greet the listeners and readers of the SERI Global Journal from the Center of International Relations Studies. Welcome to the edition about international peace and security during the 21st century. The event that has changed the agenda in this area of international relations is the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. In this podcast that we called Youth for Peace in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, we have taken the lead to give voice to the young people directly involved in the conflict because of their origins and experiences. The target is not to create controversy about this event, but to tend to listen to each other like young voices that support resolution and peace. In that sense, we thank you, Tim and Serge, for your participation to achieve the purpose of this event. Now we are going to mention some important facts about this event, and then we will ask 2 questions to our guests. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine as an ongoing war episode of great escalation began on February 24, 2022, and is part of the Russo-Ukrainian War, which began in 2014. This is the largest conventional military attack on European soil since the Yugoslav Wars. It is opening thousands of fatalities, as well as the largest refugee crisis on the continent since the World War II, and there are already 8 million internally displaced persons. On February 21, 2022, Russia recognized the Donetsk People's Republic and the Lugansk People's Republic, 2 self-proclaimed states in the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine, and sent troops to those territories. The next day, the Russian Federation Council unanimously authorized Putin to use military force outside Russia's borders. Peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine began on February 28, but at the end of April they stalled. In the month of July, the invading forces announced that they had taken full control of Lugansk. In October, the president of Belarus announced his country's entry into the conflict, alleging that Kiev represents a threat to Belarus after the attack on the only bridge linking Crimea with Russia.
Este es un podcast producido por el Centro de Estudios Estratégicos de Relaciones Internacionales, SERI.
Well, now I will share the first question with you. How did you live or experience this context of war being far away?
No, not far away. Yeah. Even like after I moved to Argentina, I'm checking the news. I'm looking for like every single news about it. So and I spent like, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour every day to explore like what happened there, like what's happening right now, to understand how it's going there.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
Okay, so when I was in Russia, of course, it was very scary and frightening because when the war started, I instantly started to doom scroll. It's like constantly watching the news and reading every single news that comes about this conflict. And I think that many Russians were doing the same at the time. And of course, it was really hard because when the Russian parliament and the government passed the law about the army discreditation and fakes about the war, according to these laws, you can get a fine or go to prison for judging or participating in the demonstration. So yeah, it was quite unbearable. After the first 2 months while I was still in Russia, people were starting to get used to this situation, which I think was not okay, because I don't know, I was walking down the streets of Moscow, and Moscow is a very beautiful city, but I couldn't really cherish this view and think about something good, because I understand that in some hundreds of kilometers there are Ukrainian cities which are being constantly bombed. So yeah, after some time, I started to get used to this context of war, but it was never totally okay. And now, being far away, being in Argentina, I can't say that this changes a lot, because yeah, of course, you are starting to feel safer because you know that you can criticize war and criticize Russian regime, and they won't send you to prison. But still, you are very worried because you know that your relatives, your family, your friends are still there in Russia, and that they are still in danger. And I think that this fear intensified when on September 21st, Putin declared mobilization. And of course, I have friends that can be subject to this mobilization. So I started this doom scrolling again. And yeah, since that, everyone is pretty much frightened and petrified, because no one's is safe now, and no one's parents are safe, because I don't know, my father won't go to the army because of reasons, but I know that there are fathers of my friends that can, for example, be subject to the mobilization and be sent to war, which is, of course, terrible. So yeah, I think right now the worries are back, and I don't know, I can't spend a day without checking every news, just like Serge said.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Well, next, I'll tell you the second question. That is, do you consider that there are alternatives for coexistence and peace in the region in the near future? What role do you think the youth have?
Yeah, that's like a really deep question, because like you can speak about it like forever, and it's hard. I think like yeah, there is one way. I mean, there is one way how this war can end. It can be ended, and that's the win of Ukraine. Yeah, and like everything like we can do, that's like help Ukraine. Help Ukraine. Anyways, like we can support like Ukraine citizens, like or donate to Ukraine militaries, donate to Ukraine government for like for any for like medicine and, or something else. Yeah, and also like another thing we can make that's like public discussing of something, or maybe like to send some news to our friends from like Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, especially from people, like to make people aware, especially from Russia. Like I'm from Belarus, and like for Belarusian, that's not the point. Most of Belarusian doesn't support Russia in this war. Most of Belarusian support Ukraine. So yeah, we should like inform Russian citizens like about this war, what it really is, because most of them are affected by propaganda, by Russian propaganda, and like most of them support this war because they just don't know what's really happening there. So yeah, we can like there are two things like we can do, and like there are like things like I can do and I'm trying to do that support like Ukraine with money, with I don't know, maybe not with only money, but with just like discussing something here in Argentina, making people aware here. And the second thing is like making people aware of the situation in Russia.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
Yeah, I agree that this topic can be discussed quite forever because like many representatives of Russian political science say, it's pretty much useless to trying to predict what's going to happen. Actually, we can't be sure about the possibility of peace in case of Ukraine's victory, because as much as we want Ukraine to win, there is always a high risk that Putin will never accept will never accept his loss. And as Russian propaganda says, why do we need a world if there is no Russia in this world? So Putin can make any steps to assure that he's at least not going to lose. But yeah, I think, but of course, if we are thinking long term, of course, the principal way to achieve coexistence in this region is to assure that Russia is no longer ruled by Putin or his regime, because Putin's regime now will never change his mind about Ukraine and will never stop trying to conquer it or I don't know, to make it its subject in any possible way. How can we achieve this? Here I am completely agree with Serge that we can support Ukraine both financially and in terms of information. We should and we must spread true information about the conflict, because of course it's Russian propaganda that made this conflict possible, and it's Russian propaganda's blame that and its fault that today still a great deal of Russians believe that there are some Nazis and in Ukraine, and that's why this regime is still standing. Partly, it's part of the reason. Yeah, so we must support Ukraine by I don't know, in terms of finances, and provide true information about what's happening in Ukraine.
Okay, thank you. We thank our two guests for their participation, and we hope to have contributed to get more voices that support this cause. From our Center 30, we create events and activities to listen to your voices. We hope to share with you in the next number of the journal 30 Global. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for what you're doing. Yeah, that's really important. Like to let some people, I think that's mostly aimed to Argentinian youth. Yeah, maybe people from other countries, but that's really important because, like, I noticed that this is not really important topic for most of Argentinian. So most of Argentinian know almost nothing like about this war. and like they don't care about it. But like I think we need to discuss. We need to discuss it. We need to let them be aware of it. Because they can impact, for example, Argentinian government right now, like about relationship like with Russia, and of course that I think that will help them in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I hope that our stories and the information that we've provided will raise awareness of this conflict in Argentina, because as Serge has already mentioned, not a lot of people are interested in it, but I think that it has an impact on every one of us. So I think it's important what you are doing to try to convince people that these things and this conflict is really something that we should be concerned about. Thank you.
Recuerden que pueden seguirnos en Instagram como seri.global, en Facebook como Seri Global, Twitter @seri6 y en la web en www.seriglobal.org.